This is the examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Defense attorney Bob Motta is joining us. His podcast, Defense Diaries. Let's talk for 1 second, not so much about the case itself, but more so procedure and what it takes to get someone to take another look at a conviction. I'm talking about the Menendez brothers and Murdaugh. Recent documentary coming out, and there has been accusations throughout the years of molestation and abuse with the band Murdaugh from their founder. But now there's been connections from several members of the band, one speaking out specifically in the documentary about Jose Menendez molesting them on a regular basis. The Menendez brothers on record, as well as there's photo evidence of Murdaugh hanging out at the Menendez house quite often as children. Jose Menendez even alleged to have quite an obsession with Murdaugh. It's even in some documents that have surfaced as to his obsession with the band and some of their members coming out saying, you know, he molested us. And it's very similar stories as to what the Menendez brothers were professing in court in 93 and 96. Ultimately, we know what happened there. They ended up in prison for the rest of their lives, and the jury believed it was more of a financial gain as the goal, not necessarily getting out of a torturous hell of abuse. With a piece like this, and now we have other people that are saying, look, this guy did these horrific things to me too. It's ruined my life. Is that enough to move the ball for the Menendez brothers towards maybe getting out at some point through some sort of path?
I think it is, you know, I mean, typically what you do when there's newly discovered evidence and you've exhausted your, you know, like all of your appeals, mm-hmm. you know, you can file what they call a Post-Conviction Relief Act petition. And, you know, you can make your arguments that like, look, you know, my appeals are done, but we've just discovered this evidence and it puts the case in a new light and we're asking the court to look at it. You know, I don't know if it reaches that type of level where they'll have success with that, but I think it starts to make the talk of clemency something that might be legitimate. Mm-hmm. You know, if they can get enough support behind that, where, you know, they're saying like, look, these kids have done a long time, and, you know, I mean, they've served a pretty hefty price for what they did, but it appears that what they were saying in terms of what their true motive was, in terms of they lived a life of abuse, horrific abuse, you know, maybe it's time to cut them loose. Like, to me, that's what the more likely scenario is. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that there might be a strong push for it, you know, I mean, especially by advocates of, you know, abuse. But I think that they could probably get like a lot of support behind that movement to where they're putting, you know, a kind of a clemency or a pardon type situation in front of the governor in order to try to get these guys out. Like, cause legally, I don't know, because it's just not that type of situation where it's going to justify murder.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't, as frustrating as that is, you know, you've got a situation where you have kids that are being abused, you know, and that was back at a time when like outcries weren't as common.
Nobody would have believed it at the moment had they said
exactly.
it.
Like this guy's like running RCA records. You know, it's like it would have fallen on deaf ears, and, you know, and they're afraid to do it.
Sure.
There's just like a massive amount of reasons why kids swallow these horrible secrets that they have, you know, which fortunately through education and just letting kids know that they're not the ones in the wrong and that they have to come forward and that they're the ones that are the victims. And, you know, this is not normal. It's not right. There's nothing okay about it, you know, but that took like decades for that to start happening, to where kids have an understanding at an early age that if somebody's abusing them, that they have to come forward. You know, that wasn't the case back then. So I think all those things will play into it. You know what I mean? And I think that there's a strong argument that they should be released, you know, because now we have substantiating evidence that it was occurring.
Yeah.
You know, like beyond just the family. I mean, that's
Sure.
incredibly, like, how ballsy is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Menudo at that time was huge, man.
and there's been accusations that have come out in the past about this, and especially back in those days, and they were quashed very quickly. One of their photographers once made accusations. Even he had to put and as a way of resolving the case, a 2-page ad in a local newspaper saying how he lied about what he had witnessed, even though he today says, no, I did see these things. They forced me to do this. Otherwise, they were going to ruin my life.
Yeah, dude, that's money and power.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's what it was and is today in many ways. But even it was a different world at that time where people could do this so out in the open. And people would just be like, well, that's what they're into. Nothing bad's happening. And that's the scary thing about what. So if this were to go down a path of clemency, is that a series of hearings that goes to that? Is that another trial? How would they go down that road?
Trial. It's basically you're kind of on like bended knee, you know, like you're just trying to get like somebody in political office, typically the governor, to look at it, you know, and grant, like, at least with a pardon.
Yeah.
And like the clemency thing is a different thing a little bit, but you know, I don't know what path they'll go, you know, but like, I know that they're going to take a path. I mean, for me, I'd probably be trying to work the pardon angle, just because I think that you'd be able to get, you know, I mean, it's a compelling argument, you know, and I think that a lot of people would get behind it, and it's an easier path. Sure. You know, because with clemency, there are hearings and things of that nature, and you're having to go in front of like prison boards and things like that. You know, and frankly, do you know offhand what the sentence was for them? Was it life without the possibility of parole?
It's life without the possibility of parole right now.
Right. So the clemency thing, you're having to go through like prison board. It's a much more difficult process. It really is. But I mean, you can get the same result. Sure. You know what I'm saying? So like, to me, the easier path is probably the pardon, and neither are easy, you know, because there's political pressure. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Behind the scenes that people don't know about. So I don't know. I like, assuming that everything they say is true, I'd like to see the kids get out.
The Hidden Killers Podcast.
Hey, what do you think about the Menendez case? Do you think the boys should be in prison for the rest of their lives? They did obviously commit this murder. That's not a question. But what they went through, why they committed that murder as a means of survival, should they be able to go free at some point? We'd love to hear your opinion. 888-5-KILLER is the phone number. 888-554-5537. Leave us your opinion, and we may use it on a future episode. All right? My name is Tony Brueski. You can follow me on Twitter at TonyBPod. Stay with us.